Want to watch football without the restrictions of blackouts or cable? Check out expressvpn.com to help you get access to all the live games. Sign up today using the link in the description to get 3 free months.
Yo to Bolt fam, it's the director. Chargers fans, what a hellish season it's been. I feel like we need to roll with the punches a little bit here and enjoy the good when we can find it. And I got to tell you guys, we might be seeing some good this upcoming Sunday. Chargers at Patriots. An opportunity for the Chargers maybe to even sniff the word sweet, sweet revenge. Because as you guys know, Chargers fans, this matchup in the past, I'd say that maybe the past couple of times, didn't look too good for the Chargers. I think, as a matter of fact, the Patriots wiped the floor with us a couple of times here and there. Be nice to see Justin Herbert get out there versus a Patriots team, which, let's be honest, is in shambles. Not a lot good to be found on that team. I think, again, the defense has looked all right, but the offense is so bad. One of the worst teams in the NFL right now, from greatest to just not without Tom Brady. It's been a downfall, and honestly, the Chargers have an opportunity here to try and gain some momentum. I tell you guys all the time, momentum is king in most sports, and I would like to see the Chargers gain at least a little bit before they start moving into the later half of the season a little bit more aggressively. So let's talk about it, man. Should be an exciting one for Chargers fans. One that we can get a little bit excited in terms of maybe a bit more entertainment and success from the team, okay? All right, we deserve this one, man. We deserve that little pat on the back from sticking through, 3 brutal weeks of Chargers football. Now, before we do get started, guys, check out the sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. You guys want to get in on the action. We got about half the season left to have fun with this, man. Jump in. Join the action. Use code DIRECTOR to match your first deposit up to $100 on the best fantasy platform on the web. And you newcomers, take advantage of this half-yard special on Sunday. Helping you guys hit some nice ones there. Before we do kick off, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this Chargers content. The small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Help me get to 50K, y'all. That'd be tight. With that, let's get into it. Lights, camera,
Action.
Your Chargers at Patriots game preview. What will we call this one? Your bills due or something? It's the first of the month. Rent's due. Bills due. Bill Belichick. All right. Before we do jump into any of that, though, we got to talk about the laundry list of injuries this week, man. It doesn't look good for either side, I should say. Not even that. I mean, I guess it looks a little bit more dramatic with how many names there are than how many we expect to be sitting out. But some of them are pretty big names. And for instance, the Chargers got a couple of pretty big ones. Questionable and Keenan Allen. If he were to miss this game, man, what is this Chargers offense even going to look like? Can you imagine? I mean, on one side, Tom Telesco, good on you, I guess, for loading up on receiver when we didn't really need it to start the year. Guess what? Turns out we did need it, okay? A lot of us have opinions on Zay Flowers and such. Whatever. We did get receivers. Now that we're missing Keenan Allen, maybe, Mike Williams, Josh Palmer, both on IR, it could get a little bit crazy out there, man. So keep an eye on the Keenan Allen situation. If he doesn't suit up, this offense is going to look way different. And we're going to talk exactly about that here in just a minute. A lot of these guys did get full practices in, so don't worry too much about Everett and Johnston and Kendricks. These guys should be fine. Another guy right here, though, Trey Pipkins, if the Chargers don't have a right tackle, could make the Patriots pass rush just a little bit more brutal. And then out for the Chargers here, Vanette and Jasir Taylor, probably one of the bigger ones that are out. Like, we know he's not going to play this week. Interesting to see what the Chargers are going to do here. They've been having some pretty good success with Jasir Taylor playing the star slot cornerback position. And with him out, I would expect to see a lot more. Was it Bassie, his name, the practice squad guy, who hasn't looked bad this season. But unfortunately, the illness, the sickness took Jasir Taylor this week. Hopefully he's not out as long as JT Woods, man. He's been on a long time. On the Patriots side of things, you guys can see the last names here. Some of the questionables for the Patriots: Chris Board, Trent Brown, offensive lineman, Ezekiel Elliott, who's been a really good complimentary back to Ramondre Stevenson. He's questionable. But some of the outs here: Demario Douglas, who's looked good at times, Booty, who's looked good at times. Both those guys are out, so the Patriots wide receiver room is going to look a little bit different. Riley Reif, offensive lineman, is questionable. Sidney So and Dice Weiss or whatever, both questionable as well. So a lot of names to monitor, but in the end, more names than actual players impacted by an out. we're probably going to see on Sunday. So with that said, let's jump into our first topic of this game and what to expect in this matchup. We'll probably may just start with the elephant in the room here. If you guys have been following the news in terms of what's to expect in this particular matchup, you would know that the Patriots have been kind of wishy-washy when it comes to their quarterback this season. Sometimes it's, Mac Jones, sometimes it's Bailey Zappi, sometimes recently it's been a combination of both. Well, it sounds like the Patriots may be rolling out with Bailey Zappi as their starting quarterback on Sunday. Which, of course, in the end, maybe doesn't mean anything because they've been kind of using both of them the past couple of games. But this first segment called Zappi Gets Zapped is exactly what it sounds like. Because Bailey Zappi, man, I tried. I went looking for some stats on this guy to see, oh my God, are there things that we got to watch out for? He's not been very good. He's not been very good at all. I would say only a handful of attempts every game. I should say the last a handful of games this season. Hasn't thrown a touchdown this year. Few interceptions for sure. I don't know what to say at this point. I think a big problem that we're seeing that a lot of Patriots fans are thrusting their frustration in the direction of Bill is they don't have a quarterback. And as a lot of you guys know, Mac Jones started off okay. The last couple of seasons have just not been good for him. But Mac Jones, I don't know if he was ever projected to be like that guy in the NFL, right? He's had his moments, his flash in the pan, but a lot of the times, if you take a look at his success in the past, like it's been aided a lot by game script. It's been aided a lot by a nice defense. It's been aided a lot by some, more significant talent on offense. I don't know, man. I don't know. Patriots are in a bad way right now. No quarterback, it kind of feels like. Mac Jones kind of feels like he's thrown in the towel. Bailey Zappi, this dude's going to get walloped on Sunday, man. The Chargers defense isn't much to, write home about, but my God, he's about to go up against one of the more brutal pass rushers he's had to deal with this season. We'll talk more about that here in just a second, but Zappi, even against the Chargers defense, which has been giving up, miles and miles and miles of yards to quarterbacks like Jordan Love, I wouldn't expect him to have a crazy good day this week. Maybe his best week of his career. I'm not going to even lie. I think that this could definitely be that game for him personally, but how much it means to getting a win in this game, I don't know if it's going to carry much water or weight here. So Zappi gets zapped. If you're the Chargers, we talk a lot about other teams like wetting their lips against the Chargers defense. The Chargers got to be wetting theirs, dude, when it comes to defending this quarterback in particular. All right. What do they have on offense, though? Let's talk a little bit about Ramondre Stevenson, this segment called Ramondre's Shoulders. If there's one thing about this team that I do think we have to pay particular attention to this week, especially on their offense, it's going to be Ramondre Stevenson, who isn't the best running back in the league. I'll go ahead and admit that. A lot of, fantasy football players drafted him to be one of those, top caliber guys. He had a lot of upside from last season. This year, he's still been pretty solid, though. He hasn't been what they envisioned, but he's definitely been pretty solid. I think over 100 scrimmage yards last week with a touchdown. He's been getting the job done. And I think that is the only pulse we've seen on the Patriots offense this season. Okay, they did a really good job by picking up Ezekiel Elliott on a very cheap contract to be that compliment guy. And he's been doing a really good job. I've been looking at his stats. Somewhere in and around the realm of like 50 yards-ish per game. He's getting into the end zone. A lot of the reasons why Chargers fans wanted to sign a washed-up Zeke to play that backup role. And he's been doing a good job with the Patriots, especially in the red zone. We got to watch out for their running attack. Now, fortunately for the Chargers and its fans, we've had a pretty decent defense versus the run this season. I would expect the Chargers to maybe bend a little bit this week, as I do expect the Patriots to really hammer in the point this week. Like, hey, with Bailey Zappi at QB, we're running the football a lot. Zappi's going to do what Zappi does best, and it's going to be hand off the football this week. And maybe they find some success there. Bill has been, trying new things. I have to suspect that that's kind of their game plan this week. So Ramondre, probably the biggest, hyphen that you got to keep an eye out this week. But again, he's not elite, but he's been very solid this year. So got to keep an eye out for him. Now, what about the passing game for the Patriots? Well, again, not much to write home about without a quarterback. I will say they've got some weapons. Okay, Devontae Parker, I believe, has been a good wide receiver for a long time. He's just not had a quarterback in a while. Hasn't really done much this season. Juju Smith-Schuster, Tyquan Thornton, all these guys you can kind of say the same thing about. I don't hate their wide receiver room. It's certainly not up to par with a lot of other rooms in the NFL. It's probably one of the lower ones, but these guys have some talent. I think that can be elevated with a good quarterback and good quarterback play. They just don't have it this season. And even though the Chargers might be short a Jasir Taylor, I mean, Asante Samuel's still out there. You can roll out Michael Davis, who was benched last week. I think he'd be okay versus Devontae Parker. He matches up physically very well versus a guy like him. Certainly, Derwin James shouldn't have too many issues out there. I should expect to see Derwin James a lot, though, on the tight ends this week. It's just interesting. It's interesting to see this offense. How are they going to adjust this week? I don't know. Is the defense going to give up yards? I'm sure they will. In the end, though, I think the Chargers defense, as leaky as the secondary has looked, they've not given up as many points as you would expect with that much yardage. So hopefully it all kind of rounds out to, a lot of yardage, maybe more than we were expecting, but maybe not enough points for the Patriots to, play catch up with the Chargers this game. Now, in terms of the receiving weapons, I think the most successful one I've seen this season, kind of, has been Hunter Henry. So this segment, Henry's Revenge, sorta. Playing against his former team. I should have looked up his stats the last time he played against the Chargers. I think he was a Patriot at that time. I do believe it was 2021. I think Justin Herbert got one season with Hunter Henry before he went off to become a Patriot. Henry's had some games this year. And again, it kind of speaks to the level of play that he brings at times. Quarterback play is not that great. He's trying to elevate it best he can. He can be a red zone threat. But again, like I mentioned, I do expect Derwin James to see a lot of Hunter Henry this week. And that being said, I don't know how much success he's going to see. Okay? So just kind of keep this in mind. We're going in with the expectation that the defense should have kind of a bounce back. But we'll have to, if they do really continue to struggle, then the defense is 100% in trouble going forward. And speaking of ex-Chargers, about to see the revenge of J.C. Jackson. Watch out, Justin. Here comes the first pick six. Knock on wood, please. Knock on wood. Okay. I don't think that's going to happen. J.C. Jackson, he's I don't know what happened, man. He would have been better off just carrying his momentum from New England and staying with the Patriots. And I don't know, man. It's a tough break. It's a tough break for him. A lot of Chargers fans feel pretty ill towards him. He, of course, exited unceremoniously versus the Chargers. A lot of drama there. But he hasn't really picked up the buck and found that momentum again with the Patriots anyway. So we'll see. I mean, we might see some JC this week. They got Jonathan Jones and other guys out there. So I don't know if he's going to be on our number one, whether that be, Allen or I don't even know at this point, Jalen or QJ. We'll see if JC does anything. We'll keep an eye out. And by the way, I don't know if he's number 27 anymore. He might be number 29. You guys are looking for JC this week. So just keep that in mind. All right. But yeah, defense. This is where the Chargers, again, you get to talk about a little bit the success of momentum here. And last week, I think we saw a little of that started to become gained. Even though he lost that game, the Chargers defense, I mean, honestly, they held their own versus one of the best offense, or I should say one of the best quarterbacks in the league. That offense has been one of the best in the last 6 weeks now. Chargers are the first team in the first 5 weeks prior. They had been scoring 31 points per game. The Chargers ended that pattern in last week's matchup. And there were some big moments there. Khalil Mack had a great game. I expect him to go out there and have a pretty decent game this week too. I think at 13 sacks on the season, he can continue climbing that. I think his career best was 15, right? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was 16. Either way, very close to his career best with the Chargers in his twilight season. I mean, that's pretty awesome to see, man. So the Chargers, not to mention, you got Morgan Fox. You got Tuipulotu. Linebackers should see a little bit more success this week too. Hoping to see, some K9 and Kendricks action out there. It should be fun. It should be fun to see the defense get to work this week. If anything, the Chargers have been kind of a beast in terms of forcing fumbles. I'm hoping to see some of that this week. Of course, you got two quarterbacks that have been very shaky. Khalil Mack's been great there. Thule, I do expect to see some Thule there this week as well. But the defense, if you're looking for some momentum, this is the week to gain it, because you're not going to face offenses this bad again this season, okay? But let's be a little cautious of this Patriots team, because again, it's any given Sunday, right? And the Chargers have proven to be that team that revolves around the drama of any given Sunday. Lately, it's been, hey, maybe we can beat the Ravens, man. We're getting there. Like, let's get our hopes up right here, and then it kind of falls off at the end. The Patriots could end up putting up a fight because, again, we've not fared very well versus them in the past. And in them, for the most part, the Patriots offense hasn't really ever done anything versus us. I mean, they've done enough to get the job done, obviously, to beat us. sometimes thumping us, but you got to look at what they did defensively those games, especially. And that's what I'm most cautious of this week. And it's because not of the talent of the rosters, which at times can be skewed, but the talent of the coaches. I want you guys to think of this as Bill Belichick versus Brandon Staley. Staley is way over his head here. He's well out of his league. Bill Belichick, this guy, if anything, that makes me worried here. He has the capability of taking this offense that has just been so bad, or I should say even this team that's been so bad this season, and finding a way to win, maybe defensively. Bill's defense is something that I'm still cautious of because he's been that good. And honestly, I went back just for, kicks and giggles to see how good he's been the past, I think it was 8 years I've backtracked. He's been incredible. I think all 8 years besides 2, he's produced a top half defense. And most of those years, there were a top 10, top 8, sometimes top 5. He's a defensive mastermind, man. And this year, although you would be fooled by how bad this team is, what are they, 2-9 now? Their defense has actually been not too bad. They've ranked 8th best in total yards allowed this season, 8th, despite a 2-9 record, which is insane. They're almost the opposite of the Chargers in some ways, right? The Chargers scoring all these points and they're still losing. The Bills' defense, Bills' defense with the Patriots has been so good this season, but just not catching any wins because the offense can't catch up. They've allowed under 200 passing yards, or around, 200 passing yards per game, less than 100 running yards per game. But I think the one weakness that they have, which unfortunately for Patriots is going to be points scored. They've been about the middle of the pack, around 22.5 points. And of course, the last 3 or 4 weeks, they haven't gone against the best offenses. I think the last really good offense they went up against was the Dolphins, which they scored 31 points on the Patriots. So let's not pretend that they're immortal here, but we just got to be cautious. We got to be cautious. They got some talent back there, right? They got Jonathan Jones, which is like J.C. Jackson 2.0, right? He's been playing great. Kyle Duggar, Jabril Peppers. They got a nice secondary, right? And then up front, I think Lawrence Guy has been mentioned a couple of times in the last couple of weeks, has been having a really good span of games. He's been good this year. They got Devon Godshaw. They got Christian Barmore on the defensive line. They got Josh Uche. They got some good guys. They got some good players on defense. If Bill's done anything right the last couple of seasons, it's been this defense, right? Fortunately, they're not a crazy sack team this year, so Justin Herbert hopefully has some chance to stand up a little bit more, but keep an eye out, okay? That's all I'm saying. With this segment in particular, I want you guys again to think of this as Bill Belichick versus Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley in this case is outclassed, and I wouldn't be surprised if Bill Belichick came out with a defensive scheme like, hey man, this shouldn't be too bad. Now, of course, a lot of that would fall on the shoulders of a Kellen Moore, which I think Belichick feels a little bit more like, okay, there's a shot here, but I still kind of lean towards Belichick having more success with his defense. Just kind of keep that in mind, okay? The coaching battle is real in week 13. All right? As we near the end of this video today, let's look at the Justin Herbert and the Chargers offense a little bit. This segment called Justin Herbert's shoulders. We talked about Ramondre's shoulders carrying the offense for the Patriots. This is Herbert's shoulders, okay? This is going to be crazy, dude. This week, depending on what happens, if Keenan Allen rests this week, which there's a chance that, yes, he's injured, but the Chargers may just play it safe and rest him, even if he's questionable and he could play. He could just rest. And I heard Bill Belichick say something like, oh, we definitely wouldn't mind if they decided to rest him this week. We certainly wouldn't mind that because they know the talent of Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen, what, 2 or 3 games straight with 100 yards? All of them losses. What happens if the Chargers don't have Keenan Allen this week? Where do those targets go? Where do the yards go? Where does the production go? That's going to be really, really difficult for Justin Herbert to fabricate at a thin air almost, unless the Chargers go in with a different game plan, which I think is possible. We'll talk about that in a second with the receivers. But if we don't have Keenan Allen, we're rolling in there with what? Jalen Guyton, Quentin Johnson, Darius Davis, maybe that guy Erickson who's come off the practice squad, had a couple nice catches. Keelan Doss, who will probably play the Keenan Allen role a little bit. Poor Justin, man. Dude's so many seasons without any help. This week could be particularly rough versus the Patriots defense. And when you guys say, well, what about we got Gerald Everett and Donald Parham, maybe we do line him up out wide a little bit to help Justin Herbert, give him some options there. But unfortunately for the Chargers, if there's one thing that the defense has been particularly good against this year for the Patriots, it's been the tight end position. I think they're the 3rd best defense in the league versus tight end position. They just don't give up a lot of yards. And that's going to push a lot of stress on Justin Herbert to play Superman again, right? Probably taking off with his feet. We've seen him be the lead rusher for this team the last 2 weeks straight. He's probably going to have to roll out a little bit more and then try and just find something, anything. Spread the ball around. And that's where this next segment comes in. Revamped TCU receivers. Use instructions on the manual, actually. We'll call it that on the spot. Use the instructions on the manual. And what I mean by that is Chargers need to take a step back here a little bit, okay? We've talked about this subject a little bit when it comes to Quentin Johnston and Darius Davis, the way that they're utilized versus why they were drafted, okay? Darius Davis, I think he was drafted because of special teams upside. He's got a little bit of upside in terms of like, those trick plays and those bubble screens and stuff like that, which I think the Chargers have been doing a decent job at utilizing those particular talents in Darius Davis. Quentin Johnston, however, has been grossly misused this season. And yes, I'm going to call out Kellen Moore on that fact. Maybe the Chargers a little bit were unprepared for Mike Williams to go down, which shame on them if that's the case. I love Mike, but he's up and down a lot in his career. And they're asking Quentin Johnston to step in and just be Mike Williams. If you guys look at most of his targets, they're just asking him to be Mike Williams. Contested catches, he's in coverage. Of course, there's those balls here and there where Quentin has just got to come down with it. The game winner a couple of weeks ago. Is it last week? I'm not trying to make excuses for Quentin Johnston, but if we're going to have any shot at getting QJ up to speed this season, we have got to boost this man's confidence. He looks defeated in the locker room. He looks like he's a disappointment to himself. You can help that by fixing this man's confidence, and that's something the coaching has power to do. And you know how you do that? Use the instructions on the manual. Go back and watch Quentin Johnston, just highlights, guys. I did that just before this video, just to be like, okay, I kind of want to, see some of the routes that he had a lot more success and just a little refresher, right? Slants are a big one. Posts are a big one. Just getting open in the intermediate and even short part of the field, some drags even. His yak ability was really insane. And to me, that kind of opens my eyes. Again, maybe I got blinded a little bit too by the fact that we need that Mike Williams archetype wide receiver on this team. Quentin kind of looks like him, so we're going to throw him the ball. No, stop. Put down the Mike Williams tape and go watch some Michael Thomas, some classic Michael Thomas 2016 tape. And look how they utilized him in New Orleans. That's how we kind of should be utilizing a Quentin Johnston. Now, Michael Thomas maybe didn't have like the yak ability, which is kind of crazy that we could see that with a Quentin Johnston. Just get the man open. Design routes that aren't too complicated over the middle. Let him use his speed to separate and watch him go. And you can do the same thing. I've seen routes at TCU with both these guys running the same side of the field. You'll see Darius split off, pull the safety, leaving, one or the other open. It's crazy to me after, my perspective on QJ after just going back and rewatching the highlight. He's being so misused. And if we're going to get this man back on track, we need his confidence back. And we need him to be utilized correctly. Because maybe he'll stop dropping so many GD balls, dude. I get it. I'm frustrated with him too. But we kind of need him this season. And he's probably going to be a featured receiver this week with Keenan Allen injured, maybe, not 100%, or without Keenan Allen at all. We're going to need him this week. And that could be the case going forward for a couple of games. We got to get him back on track. And this is a really important week to do that. Even versus this defense, you're going to have to get creative and start utilizing his strengths. That's one big thing I loved about Kellen Moore, was pushing the strengths of his personnel or the strengths of his team forward, of his players. He hasn't done that with QJ. We need to see some of that this week. That being said, this segment, I called it Bury Them Anyway. I guess we want to see a win here, of course. We need to see that momentum for the Chargers. Let's impress Bill Belichick. Let's go out there and thump the Patriots. Get this team back on track in several different aspects. The defense could benefit from this, great matchup. The offense could benefit from finding a rhythm with those young rookie receivers, which need to be pushed into the foreground this season. To continuing to progress Justin Herbert and his expansion of being able to run, be that dual threat. That'll be a big thing going forward if he can continue, shaping that part of his game. In the end, I got the Chargers winning this one for what it's worth, 24-13. Chargers 24, Patriots 13. And kind of being a feel-good game for Chargers fans. We need it. Justin Herbert needs it badly. The team needs it. And if anything, a great opportunity to figure yourself out. Again, this doesn't mean let's go out there and win a game and save Brandon Staley's job. No, absolutely not. But the team, the players need that confidence, and we need to be able to build in on their strengths. And the only way you can do that is by finding that momentum, and these are great opportunities to do so, because going forward, you're not going to see very many teams with this bad of an offense and an opportunity to kind of tune your defense in a kind of a low-scoring game. So there you go. There you go. Or your offense, should say. There you go. Well, guys, in the comment section below, thank you so much for joining me. Hit up the comments with your score predictions on this one, and let me know what you think about the whole QJ situation, because I want to see a change there. I really need to see a change there. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. We'll catch you next time. As always, bolt up, stay frosty, and be prepared for my post-game reaction show on Bleacher Report on Sunday as well. Should be a good one, man. Let's get QJ back on track, baby. It's time to give that man a boost of confidence.